all across America and around the world. This is Veterans Radio. This is Veterans Radio. And now, your host for today's program, Dale Throneberry.
I want to welcome you to our program. We've had some wonderful technical issues already today, as most of you out there that are listening live are well aware of. So I'm going to get right into it. We've got a number of guests today that I want to mention. Number one is, right off the top, is we're going to be talking, with the Medal of Honor Museum at Patriots Point. They're reopening their museum, and I've got Laura Jowdy with us. She will be joining me shortly. And then we're going to move right into an interview with Bob Taylor. He's the CEO of the Patriot Promise Foundation in Michigan. And so I'm really excited to talk to him. And he's an Air Force guy, so we're going to be talking, big planes, little planes, things like that. As we turn the bottom of the hour, we've got an interview with Keith King of the National Veterans Business Development Council. They're celebrating their 10th anniversary, and that will take us probably up to toward the end of the program. Also in the studio with me is Nick McBrien. And Nick, welcome back. Oh, he's frozen. So
always good to be here.
It's always good to be anywhere. So before we get into the program real quick, I got to make sure that we thank our sponsors, because we can never do this program without them. Number one is Legal Help for Veterans. Legal Help for Veterans specializes in veterans' disability claims. Give Legal Help a call at 800-693-4800. The National Veterans Business Development Council, better known as Nvbdc, is the nation's leading third-party authority for certification of veteran-owned businesses. If you want to do business with the federal government and you want to claim to be a veteran-owned business, you got to get certified. So these are the people to talk to. You can go to their website, that's nvbdc.org, or give them a call at 888-237-8433. The Charles S. Kettles VA Medical Center here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. For more information about them, go to va.gov/Ann Arbor Healthcare. Also want to make sure that we thank our local veterans organizations for their longtime support of Veterans Radio. Almost 20 years, over 20 years now. That's the Irwin Prescorn American Legion Post 46 and the Charles S. Kettles Vietnam Veterans of America Chapter 310, both of Ann Arbor, Michigan. Hey, if you want to get in on the action and sponsor a really great program for veterans, all you got to do is go to our website, veteransradio.org, and click on the media, and you'll find all kinds of information there if you would like to become a sponsor, or if you just want to make a small donation. Quick reminder is that Veterans Radio is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. Whew, okay, so joining me on the line, and I'm not sure where she's going to be coming from, either Zoom or the phone, is Laura Jowdy, and Laura is the Society's resident archivist. So Laura, welcome to Veterans Radio.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here tonight.
Well, thank you for joining us. So the Medal of Honor Museum at Patriots Point has, sounds like you've done some remodeling. Tell us all about that.
Well, it's entirely reimagined. We more or less gutted what was there before, and what we have now is a gym of a facility. It's got something for everyone. It emphasizes the recipients as people, which is, they did extraordinary things, and of course we're honored with our nation's highest military medal for valor in combat, but they were people first. And so what we've done is created a museum that honors them while also recognizing their humanity, which of course makes it more inspirational for visitors.
I think it sounds really cool, because this whole thing is on the USS Lexington, right?
Well, it's on the USS Yorktown, which is a retired aircraft carrier at Patriots Point, just outside of Charleston, South Carolina. And we're on the hangar deck, which is, a phenomenal location. Patriots Point's been a wonderful host for the museum since 1994. So we're just thrilled with the location and the number of visitors we get and the chance to really reach the public in this manner.
So what's coming up with your celebration on the 25th?
On the 25th, we are going to have historical reenactors for various conflicts from the Civil War all the way to the Vietnam War. So they'll be there, demonstrating their equipment to the public who maybe don't know, how things were used or what life was like. We're going to have a completely restored World War II era Jeep on property for people to look at and investigate. We're going to have some giveaways, a raffle or two. It is a celebration, the reopening of this museum, and it's highly interactive. So we're particularly interested in watching how children and families embrace the museum and the stories that are told there.
Well, it sounds pretty cool. Tell us about your if since not all of us can get to South Carolina. Tell us where we can go and find more information.
You can always find more information at the Congressional Medal of Honor Society's website, which is the initials of the organization, CMOHS.org.
Okay. And so, let's see, I'm making sure what I got here. So you are involved in the archival work. What is that? How would you define that for our audience?
Well, in a capsule, it's like a librarian for old things. My job is to take care of and preserve actual pieces of history. And I also take care of, usually an archive is going to be, paper and books. So I, of course, take care of those, but I also take care of the physical artifacts we have as well, of which there are many in the museum. And if you go to our website, you can also see a database of all 3,500 plus recipients of the Medal of Honor. So there's a lot of sort of legacy and history to be taught on our website.
Well, it sounds like a great organization, obviously, and I know that you are sanctioned by Congress in order to do this. And so the website, again, is CMOHS.org. There's all kinds of really great information there. They're having their grand reopening on the 25th of the month, and I would encourage people down in the South Carolina area to head on over to Patriots Point and check this whole thing out, especially the deck of the Yorktown. These decks of these aircraft carriers are really cool. I know I've been to the Intrepid in New York City, and it's pretty fascinating. So again, I encourage you. I want to thank you for all that you do, obviously, for the organization, and thank you for keeping alive the stories of all these amazing men and women.
Oh, you're very welcome, and it's my honor, really, to have this opportunity to preserve this part of American history and hopefully inspire a new generation to rise to service.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much. Laura Jowdy.
You're welcome.
From the Medal of Honor Museum at Patriots Point. Okay, so we kind of fell a little bit behind in our schedule here. So joining me right now is we've got Nick McBrien, who is kind of joining in on the conversation as well, and Bob Taylor. And Bob, let me find your information here real quick. And it says, according to your website, it says, from service to success, you share real life experiences. You were, mechanical engineering degree from that school, from Michigan State University. Joined the Air Force, 1987, stationed at Griffith Air Force Base in New York. I hadn't heard of that one. Deployed to Diego Garcia. Sounds pretty cool, or at least it sounds cool. You flew 11 combat missions during Operation Desert Storm, of course, the Air Medal. You served as a KC-135 navigator, and finally as a liaison officer with the Air Force Marines. In your civilian life, you did some great things. I'm going to ask to bring you right on. So, Bob Taylor, welcome to Veterans Radio.
Thank you, Dale. Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's talk about, your transition. I mean, that's what we're going to be talking about today mostly, is your transition from the military into private life. How did that go for you?
Sure. Well, I think with veterans, there's a kind of a vast difference in the stories on how we all transition. Actually, when I left the Air Force, I was very fortunate. My best friend in college was working for a medical device company in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And I was very fortunate to to land a job there as a R&D engineer for designing medical devices for surgery. And by all indications, everything was going great. And like many other veterans, as we go through some of our experience, some of our combat experience, we kind of tuck away some of our experience, some of our challenges, and some of those circumstances pop up later in life. And for me, it caused some challenges, and I was able to kind of get through that with some help from the VA and over a long period of time. So, some people transition very easily. Some veterans have challenges right out of the gate, and then some seem to be going along and then experience some challenges down the road. And that was kind of my story.
Yeah, I know that there's I can relate to that. I thought everything was fine when I got out of the service, and then it kind of got all screwed up midway. It seems like out there somewhere 10, 15 years later. And I know that you've written a book about this, and you've also started a foundation. Can you tell me a lot about the Patriot Promise and what that entails?
Sure. So it was about 7 years ago I started doing research on the book that I wrote, and it took me 6 years to finally write it, and it was published, just came out about a year ago. And the premise of the book for me was that if I was having challenges, I figured that there were others, and I wanted to do some research to find out just how prevalent the issues were. And I wanted to share my story, but not only my stories, but also those of other veterans. And then I wanted to make sure that I laid out in the book from service to success. I wanted to lay out a roadmap that, if we do certain things, we have the potential to not only survive, but to thrive and reach our highest potential. And so that, based on the book, I started the Patriot Promise Foundation. And the primary effort of the foundation is to create an academy called the Patriot Promise Academy. And the purpose of the academy is to teach, when we went into the military, we went in through either basic training or officers training school or through one of the academies, or there's just a host of ways, but the foundation of the training is the same. They take us from all of our many different backgrounds and all of our different personalities, and they change us to focus on one mission and one purpose. And that's to either fly, fight, win, to go into combat, to fight an enemy, and to prevail, and to overcome tremendous obstacles. And they do a fantastic job of training us. And as you know, as a helicopter pilot, you probably felt like you were pretty prepared to do just about anything with that helicopter. Sure. Under some unbelievable challenges. And so when we leave the military, we give up a lot of things that we've become accustomed to. One is the training that prepares us to be phenomenally successful against all odds. And the tribe that we form, the camaraderie and the friendships and the people that we rely on and who rely on us. And there's really very few things in our life that has as much meaning as making sacrifices for other people. And when we leave the military, it's not really clear where we fit and what we can do. And so the purpose of the academy is to kind of retrain our mindset, retrain us to be prepared for this new life outside the military. And like I said, not only to survive, but to thrive. And I believe that military people have the raw materials to be as successful as anyone else in society.
I think that's an interesting point that you make, is that, while we are while we are in the military, we're provided with everything. Our food, lodging, everything. And then we go to back to civilian life, and it's suddenly we're on our own. And our schedules were pretty rigid, I guess you could say. Our schedules were pretty rigid while we were in the service. And again, we come out, we have all this free time and so forth, and we're trying to figure out what it is that we're going to do. And I know that this has changed dramatically over the years, especially, in talking with Nick, that, the transition out of the service in today's world is a lot more efficient, I guess you could say, or hopefully more efficient, where there's more opportunities, let's put it that way, for the military people that are transitioning out. But you still have that same thing. You lose that camaraderie you were talking about in many cases. I mean, again, social media today can still connect with people, but I don't know, it's just not the same. So how can we help these men and women that are so talented? I mean, today's military has probably got the most intelligent people in it ever. And so how do we help?
And I think the training is even more highly effective and targeted and focused. And so I think, very intelligent people that are going in the military, and extremely highly effective training that prepares us to do pretty unbelievable things.
Well, yeah. And I guess that because, we've talked about this before on Veterans Radio, and we're talking with Bob Taylor here, and he's CEO of an organization that is really out there to help veterans. And just, I admire everything that you're, that you've done and that you are continuing to do. And I'm just trying to figure out, what else can we do? What else can, you mentioned you wanted to set up this academy, and I guess I kind of cut you off. What are we going to do with this academy?
So the academy starts out with assessing where the veteran is at that moment in time. Are they healthy? Are they kind of in a good place in their mental health? Do they have the basics, with a job and just kind of helping them assess where they are in their life. And then we start to go into the program to explain what they went through. What happened when they went through basic training or officers training or whatever their training was. What happened when they went through advanced training. And then what we start to discuss the differences about military life and civilian life. And then what are some basic things that they can do to really start to make their lives better? One of the things, just a simple exercise of gratitude, for example. It sounds silly, but being grateful for the things that you have in the situation that you're in, if you start to really practice gratitude intentionally, like writing a list of things that you're grateful for, all of a sudden your mind starts to shift and you start to recognize more and more things that you're actually grateful for and that you're in a better situation than you might really understand. And so the practice of gratitude really does help us shift our mind from you can't wallow in misery and be grateful at the same time. So the effort is to kind of shift our mindset to be grateful. The other thing is, like you said, we kind of lose some of our camaraderie. And so what we have to do is we have to start identifying people that we come in contact. We have to start forming new relationships and appreciate the people that are around us. Because chances are the people that are around us when we leave the military are the ones that were praying for us when we were off on our missions, or the people that care deeply about us. And we need to really kind of value those relationships, even though they're not military, even though they don't understand everything that we went through in our military experiences, or the stresses and the strains of life that we're going through. They still care deeply about us, and they can bridge the gap of just being without those same buddies that you were with when you were in the military. And then the other thing is, we have to start devoting ourselves to something that's greater than just ourselves. If we kind of just focus on what our own needs are and the challenges that we face and the difficulties of life, which, by the way, everybody has. Everyone experiences some tremendous challenges. And if we just focus on our own needs and our own wants, it's not as fulfilling. And so that's what I've dedicated, my life to, is trying to help other veterans, to try and help, I'm the owner and CEO of a medical device company, and I really focus on trying to help the people that work for me to really achieve their greatest potential. And when you can devote yourself to something great that is greater than yourself, you start to experience something that you didn't really expect. And so those are some of the things that are in the academy, is to teach people how to change their mindset, to be more grateful, to look around them and to find new relationships, new friends, and then find a passion. And hopefully that passion is serving people in ways that are just greater than what you can accomplish on your own.
So if I wanted to go to your academy, maybe a little too late for me, but it's never too late.
It absolutely is not too late. And I've actually been approached and I've spoken to groups where people your age, my age, they're still going through some of these challenges from decades ago. My issues really didn't come into full light until 16 years after I left. So we always are in a time of our life that we can benefit from some of these mindset changes.
We are talking with Bob Taylor here. He is the CEO and founder of the Patriot Promise Foundation, and we're talking about this academy. And I think this sounds really interesting to me. So is this in person, or is it on like a Zoom call, or do you have to come to wherever you are?
So the academy is still being created, but it's designed to be an online kind of learn on your own pace. There's another program called Civilian Ready, which is sounds like a very good program. They take veterans and they kind of put them all together in what they call a cohort, and they go through classes together. And there's some benefits in going through a class together. Ours is designed to be more kind of learn at your own pace. If you need to hear a certain lesson multiple times, you can do that. If you want to kind of speed through some sections and pick up some time, but it'll be online learning. Everyone will receive a workbook. There's certain books that we're going to recommend people read and study as part of this program. So it's about 10 to 12 weeks to go through this online classes. Some can take longer. Some can probably go through a little bit faster.
I know I've taught online classes, and sometimes it's okay. Most of the time, especially if you do the work, that's like everything else. Do the work, follow the assignments, and you'll be fine. So what other things are you planning to do with the Patriot Promise Foundation, Bob?
So the primary purpose was, I spent so much time writing this book, From Service to Success. Tagline of it is new mission, new purpose, and a great journey to a great life. And so all I want to do is get that information into the hands of the veterans. And so our website, the Patriot Promise Foundation, people can go there, they can buy a book and donate several copies. And what we do is we take those books and we take them to different VAs. We send them to different organizations and they distribute them out to veterans. And I'm very honored and I'm very happy that as people have read through the book, I've gotten a lot of positive feedback that you write a book and you hope that people kind of can benefit from it. And I don't expect that people are going to turn it into a manual of how to live their lives. But if you can get one or two profound messages from that book, that's all I can ask for. And I've gotten some messages from people that were, kind of thinking about, ending their lives and have found motivation from what they read to dedicate themselves to learning some new ways. And that's all I could ever hope for. If that's the only person I reached out to and made a difference, that's all I could ever ask.
I think that's so important that the veteran community as well as the civilian community realize that there are people out there who really do care about you and will do anything that they can or we can to help you, get through whatever it is that's dragging you down and, making you think about ending it at all. So I would encourage you to go to Bob's website. It's patriotpromise.org. And I understand that you are a nonprofit organization. And can we make a donation there?
Absolutely. Just go on the website. You can go right to the part of the website for donations. And we're, every penny that we get, we turn into either getting the books in the hands of the veterans, or we're using those funds to get veterans through this Patriot Promise Academy. We are having a big golf event. We've joined forces with the organization called Folds of Honor, which is well known all over the United States. And they have a mission of, for Gold Star families, of educating their children, giving them scholarships so that they can go through college. And so as we spoke to them, teaching the Gold Star, getting the Gold Star families into their education, and also helping to teach veterans how to transition and pursue the highest level of performance in their lives seemed like a very good synergy. And so we've partnered up and we're having a golf outing called the Greatest Honor Golf Classic, which is August 19th. And I'm looking forward to seeing what we can raise and get veterans into this academy.
Well, I'm going to support this. Nick sent me a note here is that it's on the 19th. Oops, go up. There we go. Golf event, August 19th, Monday, August 19th at the American Dunes Golf Course in Grand Haven, Michigan. Worthwhile.
And if you've never been to that golf course, you walk through an entrance and it's almost hallowed ground. It's a memorial for different veterans and the sacrifices they've made. It's actually difficult for me to go through there multiple times. So it's just very captivating and it's humbling. And but it is a absolute gorgeous golf course, and it's kind of the home of the Folds of Honor, and the American Dunes is just a beautiful place.
All right, well, I would encourage you to. We're going to put that information up on our website. And Bob Taylor, I want to thank you so very much for being on Veterans Radio. The book is From Service to Success. You can get it on their website, patriotpromise.org. And if you buy one, they give away two. If you buy a bunch, they give away a bunch more. So I encourage everybody to go to that website, patriotpromise.org. And Bob, thank you so much for your time and your patience today. And look forward to talking to you again sometime soon.
Oh, it's a great pleasure. And in spite of all the technical challenges, you guys made me feel right at home, and very gracious hosts. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bob.
Hey, thank you.
All right. We are going to take a real quick break here for our Medal of Honor segment. And then when we come back, I'll introduce the interview with Keith King from the National Veterans Business Development Council. So you're listening to Veterans Radio. We'll be right back.
The Medal of Honor is the highest award for valor in combat given a member of the Armed Forces of the United States. There have been over 3,400 recipients of the nation's highest award. This is one of them. Warrant Officer Frederick Ferguson led a 4-ship helicopter formation into a South Vietnamese Army compound under heavy fire. Details after this. If you have a VA claim denied by the Board of Veterans' Appeals, contact Legal Help for Veterans at 1-800-693-4800. They're experts in handling cases before the U.S. Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims. Their number again, 1-800-693-4800. After completing a hitch in the Navy, Ferguson got his commercial pilot's license and then joined the Army to fly helicopters. 2 weeks after graduating from helicopter school, he was in Vietnam. On January 31st, 1968, Ferguson heard that a 1st Cavalry helicopter had gone down in Hue and another had been badly shot up trying to rescue them. Ferguson and his crew agreed to go get them. While refueling, he asked 3 Huey gunships if they wanted to accompany him. They did. The GIs in the compound reported they were under heavy fire. Ferguson circled until the fire abated, then began a low-level, high-speed run into the compound. He descended blindly in a dust storm from his rotors. When he touched down, he saw there was only 1 foot clearance on each side of his blades. The GIs jumped aboard and Ferguson pulled up. A mortar shell exploded under his aircraft, spinning it 180 degrees. One of the Hueys was shot down and the crew rescued. The other 2 were so badly shot up by the time they landed, they were no longer able to fly. Ferguson received his Medal of Honor from President Nixon on May 17, 1969. The Medal of Honor series is a production of Veterans Radio.
Military veterans touch everyone's life. I'm guessing right now you're thinking of a veteran, a close friend, relative. Maybe it's you. Even the toughest among us sometimes need help, but don't know where to turn for support. You don't need special training to help a veteran in your life. If you know a veteran in crisis, don't wait. Reach out. Call the Veterans Crisis Line at 988, then press 1. 988, press 1. A message from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs.
And we're back here on Veterans Radio. And as many of you know, over the last couple of years, one of our main sponsors and supporters has been Nvbdc, the National Veteran Business Development Council. And so coming up right now is a kind of a review of what they've been up to for the last 10 years. So my partner, Jim Falzone, interviewed Keith King, founder and CEO of Nvbdc, last week. And so we're going to play that interview right now. So stick around afterward. We've got some announcements that we need to make here on Veterans Radio. So here's Jim Falzone and Keith King.
I am Jim Falzone, and this is Veterans Radio's Spotlight on the National Veteran Business Development Council, well known as Nvbdc.org, and we're honored today to have with us its founder and CEO, Keith King. Welcome back, Keith, to Veterans Radio.
Well, thank you, Jim. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Well, as our regular listeners know, Nvbdc is the nation's leading third-party authority for certification of veteran-owned businesses, really of all sizes. And we're kind of talking today because it's about 10 years that this nonprofit that got started back in 2013 has been certifying companies. I think that's a great place to start, Keith. Give us a little, hey, what's going on after this decade of certifying veteran-owned businesses?
Well, whenever we talk to obviously a lot of businesses and small or any business that's been up and operating for a few years, the 10th year always seemed to be one of those, anniversaries that you should pause and say, hey, I not only made it 10 years, but we actually have been certifying our veteran-owned businesses for 10 years now. And, people have said, well, what have you done in 10 years? And that's one of these things that really what we're trying to do is put out some of the information I think is surprising to not only our veterans, but to our corporate members. And I know one of them is we went back into our files and we have actually certified over 3,000 veterans. So, we're there, we're pounding, and we continue to grow.
Well, and that level of certification has certainly also turned into a lot of contracts for certified veteran-owned businesses. And I know the $1 Billion Roundtable did some analysis, and there's some other analysis of how big the market is for certified veteran-owned businesses. And as I said, Nvbdc is the gold standard for this. Give us some sense of how big the market is.
Well, I'll start with the one that probably is the closest to my heart in the sense of they being the BDR, did a impact study. And in that impact study, what they do, among all the other information they gather, is they have each of their members report the contract amount of what we call the spend per category, women, minorities, veterans. And when they came out and said, well, the members of the $1 Billion Roundtable reported that they have spent $4.3 billion with our veteran-owned businesses. And we went, well, that's even bigger than I could dream. So.
And that's not over the 10-year period we're talking about, right? That's an annual
last
spend.
Year. Yes, that was last year, 23. And now that we're working with them even closer with all of these things, one of the side, if you will, the guys who love the numbers, we, in this impact study, said, does anybody know how much money is in the supplier diversity market, if you will, as a whole? And they actually said, yeah, it was a $122 billion market. And as you know, Jim, I keep talking about I want a bigger piece of this pie.
Yep, that's what our veteran business owners want, absolutely.
Well, at $122 billion, I think I'm finally getting people's attention.
Well, I would hope so. And is that a corporate spend, or is that a government spend, or a combination?
No, neither. Strictly the 32 at the time was 27 corporation that spent that much with our veterans. And I know in the opening you mentioned that we certify, small, medium, and large. And we have a corporation now that is over $2 billion, veteran-owned. We had one that was at a $900 million a year. We had 1,800 employees in 5 countries. So that was one of the issues, I think, right from the beginning, that our corporate members really drove home, really helped us. They said, don't ever get caught up in the small business. Everybody loves a small business, but if you're sitting here talking to, some of the largest corporations in the world, we need to make sure that if we're hiring somebody as a supplier, that they can, in fact, meet our demands, and do whatever they need to do to have the ability to, expand and meet our goals. And that's how we got to the point we are.
Well, and it's important because the government had some programs not very successful in ways of certifying, and they were for small business, veteran-owned businesses, and you kind of could grow out of them, which wasn't really good for anybody in the sequence. But that's sort of the problem with a government-run program. And last time we talked, the Congress was moving certification out of the hands of the VA and over to the SBA, but that really hasn't gotten up and running very well, has it?
Well, I hesitate only because.
Okay, I can say it hasn't.
Well, that's okay. What are they going to do? Can't fire me. What they did is they had, and I know we discussed that originally the plan was that the SBA was not going to, in essence, raid the VA, that they were going to go and build, the whole new team, build a whole new program. That was a lie. And unfortunately, in that form, they brought, and I spent a lot of time with these guys, they basically brought the key executives of the VA running the CVE or their verification program to the SBA. And I was like, well, what happened to you're not going to be allowed? Well, I guess, depending on your point of view, if you cry and whine enough, maybe somebody will say, yeah, okay, go ahead and hire them.
Yeah, they just took the easy way out rather than creating, and this is what the beauty of Nvbdc is, it's really a rigorous certification process. You really got to prove yourself up. And then there's some comfort to the corporate America that this certification was rigorous enough to withstand scrutiny, isn't it?
Yeah, and, again, I always try to acknowledge the National Women's Group called WeBank and the National Minority Group, who were truly our mentors. I joke about it that, they said, yeah, we'll take pity on you. Come on, we'll teach you. But they did. And, that was like a 15-month process for us to take and learn what the rules are, learn why they do what they do, then write up the SOP and write up, the whole program, design it, and then implement it. And that's what we did basically 10 years ago in April. So, it was just a few weeks ago, it would have been actually spot on 10 years. So we're always acknowledging and always thanking those groups for teaching us and for the corporations for accepting us, because I get these calls more often than not of, somebody will ask me a question and I'll jump into it and they go, no, that's enough. Okay, we believe you. Okay.
Well, and that's really important, and that's why you should celebrate 10 years of success, because when you have that kind of rigorous standard and people say, well, that's the gold standard, we don't have to look any further, you get opportunities to do things and partner with other groups that have similar reputations. And you have one of those going on at the moment with the International Trade Association. Tell me what that's about.
Well, what we have been talking to them about is really how many, if you will, expats, how many patriots do we have all over the world? And a lot of the guys who got out of the military, and Germany is probably one of the ones, England definitely, Philippines, Guam, there are a lot of Americans living overseas, running what they call a veteran-owned business. And our whole, position is, really, how do you know they're veterans?
Right.
So, the ITA said, with the knowledge, and I think that's one of the things that we've been really proud of, is when you see the knowledge and you actually jump into what our veterans, soldiers, if you will, are being taught today. I make the comment all the time, where do you think cybersecurity came from? This is all military-based technologies, right? And so we have some very highly trained, very sophisticated people running businesses all over the world. And the ITA said, first off, we would love to know if they're really veterans. And secondly, we'd love to work with you and see how many other people we have here stateside who would like, to start looking at doing, international trade. And they have, these guys got some incredible programs. And so, what we said is, well, let's start putting programs together. Let's put webinars together. Let's put meetings together. We're involved with the UN weekly program. Besides the ones I've told you about, another group called Vets Go Global. So between the ITA, Vets Go Global, and the UN, we are definitely, building it and trying to make sure that whatever we do, in the sense of going international, we've got the main and the key players who will help us. So,
well, one of the things I want to do before we get into three other areas I want to talk about is I want to say to veteran-owned business owners who are listening, if you think certification is something that you ought to go on and do, go to nvbdc.org. They will help you through this process. It is important that you realize it'll be rigorous. You'll have to provide a lot of information, but that's exactly what you want coming out the other end, so that when you have work opportunities, bid opportunities with corporate America, they know you're the real deal. So go to nvbdc.org. That's the easiest way to get started, and reach out, because they'll help you get going.
That was Jim Falzone talking with Keith King from Nvbdc, National Veteran Business Development Council, with an interview a couple of weeks ago. They're celebrating their 10th anniversary of certifying veteran-owned businesses. Got a couple of things that I want to talk to you real quickly about. Veterans Radio has a fundraiser coming up next Sunday, the 26th of May, and it's going to be at the Carlisle Grill in Ann Arbor out on Jackson Avenue. And you'll be able to find more information on our website, but it's they're going to be splitting their proceeds with us as part of our fundraiser. As I remind you that we are a nonprofit 501c3, so I would really like you to come on out. You get to meet all the people that seem to enjoy Veterans Radio around here. The other thing that's coming up is next week is Memorial Day. Is going to be Memorial Day's program as well. And we're going to try something new this year. And so I need your help to accomplish this. I would like to read off the names of veterans and military personnel who have died in the past. And it can be either a relative of yours or, we've got, obviously we have names of veterans that we can read out that we've lost here in our local area. But I would really like you to, if you'd like to honor a family member or something along those lines, to just send an email to info@veteransradio.org. It's info@veteransradio.org, and tell us who they are, maybe where they served, if they were killed in action, or if they've died recently as a result of being exposed, like so many of us have been. This is what I would really like to try and do for next Sunday's program. So again, just if you can think of somebody that you would like to honor, just send us an email with their name and what they did in the service to info@veteransradio.org, and I think that would be great. I appreciate you doing that. Also, I wanted to thank Nick McBride for being on the program today and for promoting I keep looking at it, Patriot Promise Foundation and their upcoming golf outing. So, Nick, thanks very much. Keep bringing those stories to us.
Hey, that's what I'm here for. I'm going to keep them rolling for the rest of the year.
I'm excited. I am excited. Nick has opened up a whole new audience to us and a whole access to more people. So we've got to go right now. So until next week, this is Dale Throombury for all of us here at Veterans Radio. You are dismissed.